everyone! Today I'd like to share the aftercare for spring flowering bulbs. For tulips, for daffodils, anything else, the method is pretty much the same. If you want to be able to reuse your bulbs from year to year, those are a couple of steps that can help you do that. The first one is to deadhead. As soon as the bloom fades, you can use some scissors, some snips, or pruners to snip it off. This way, all the energy of the plant doesn't go into seed production, but the bulb can continue to grow. In those 4 pots over here, I had a gorgeous daffodil called Ice King with a beautiful wide coal red. And well, they're really faded now, but they were really gorgeous. They started with white petals and a yellow trumpet, and then the whole flower ages to this gorgeous ivory white that you can see here. This is about that stage that we want to deadhead the plant to avoid seed production, which would be done in this little part here. So you can just deadhead here, just deadhead the bloom, or take back the stalk to the ground. It's really easy. All you need is a scissors, and you can just snip those off and put those in your compost pile. Really increases the chances of your daffodils coming back. These got a little bit battered by the winds we've had recently. It's the same for hyacinths. Once the bloom starts to fade, you can see it's turning brown. So this is also about the time where I would cut them off, and the process is exactly the same. You can deadhead the whole bloom and then feed the bulbs and lift them or leave them in place. For hyacinths, I like to take the plant all the way back. Look how beautiful that bench is. Also harvested some of these bridal crowns. They were a bit droopy because of the winds. The smell, I wish you could smell these. They smell so wonderful. The second thing you can do is wait until all the foliage has died back naturally, so it's really yellowed and shriveled, before cutting it back. This way, again, the plant can draw as much energy as it can for as long as possible, and that usually really helps getting you blooms for the next year. I unfortunately typically don't have time to do that because that natural die-off of the foliage takes between 4 to 6 weeks, and about mid-May, it's time to plant dahlias in the ground and in pots for a mid-July bloom show. Another thing that you can do is apply a phosphorus-rich fertilizer. So you may have applied that already in early spring when the bulbs started growing, and it's okay to continue the application now, even as the bloom fades, so that the bulb can also use that to reconstitute enough energy to bloom the following year. If you've grown your spring bulbs in containers, you can leave them in and plant annuals on top. You'd really want to make sure though that there's enough moisture and enough nutrients for both the annuals and the bulbs to survive. Also, your spring bulbs may become overcrowded. If you remember, once you plant your bulb, it will then divide and create more bulbs. So in a small container, your bulbs may become overcrowded and then not bloom properly the years after. In the ground, if you follow the spacing guideline of a couple of centimeters between bulbs, you should be fine. Just be careful if you're planting something in the area. Of course, when you're going to dig a new hole, you may damage the bulbs. To lift the bulbs out, I'm just using a little trowel, and then I'm going to store those into this kind of fruit bag that is nice and aerated and can keep everything together. Navigate to where the bulb is and gently tease it out of the ground. You can see that some of them have started their division process. That's a natural process. The mother bulb divides into smaller offsets. Don't forget to add a label so that you remember what's what. Once they're nice and dry and all the foliage has shriveled down, then you'll be able to cut it off and you'll have your bulb as new and ready to be planted again next fall. Hello! The process is exactly the same in the ground. You can leave your bulbs to die off naturally or leave them for next year. Either way, to maximize your chance of them coming back from year to year, wait until the foliage has died back naturally. Here I'm doing this way too early because I need the space. A lot of you have asked what I do with my spring bulbs, whether I buy them every year or how do I store them. So because I have a small garden, of course, every inch of real estate is really important, and I typically have this tulip show in the spring. And then in the summer, towards the later part of autumn, I have the dahlias that are coming in. So I need my pots. Yes, I buy new tulips every year to ensure really the best bloom show, because you're never sure on the second year how well your bulbs are going to come back. It really depends on a lot of things, with moisture levels, with the temperature, with whether they feel overcrowded or not. I did replant a lot of them in my parents' garden. Some varieties are better at others at naturalizing. That means they're coming back from year to year. Typically daffodils are really good at that in the ground. Some varieties of tulips too. I can definitely vouch for tulip oleole that has been coming back for 3 years now in the garden. In terms of daffodils, Replet also came back really beautifully in the front garden. I have Minot in the more shaded area of the garden also that has come back really nicely with very little aftercare. So it really depends on which one you pick. I hope this mini video was helpful. You can also check out this playlist here where I leave a lot more advice on bulb planting and how I planted in the ground, in containers, and in the grass in my own garden. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.